This inode template view is not the only way to see data blocks allocated by the file in WinHex. Here we can see only first 12 direct blocks. The rest is indirect and we cannot see them here. So instead we can go to the name of the file in the directory browser and right-click and select Show Clusters. Alright, so we can locate the file in the directory browser, then right-click and position List Clusters. So this file clearly is allocating 2 blocks of data, 1209, and as you click on block numbers, the system brings them into Details view automatically. There's also a nice way to see the total blocks and the total fragments. This file, file 2, is actually fragmented on disk. Obviously, these 2 block numbers are not sequential. The number in parentheses displays how many bytes into this block the user data extends. The rest is a file select. Finally, you can double-click on the file. It will open it in a separate tab. But this time it's purely logical view. It's not sector or block based. All it does, it displays the actual size of the file. You can scroll down, you can see that this is not the ending of the sector. This is just the ending of the logical file and its actual length, 1300 bytes in this specific example. Of course, you can also right-click on the file name and use Recover Copy to extract the file, to examine it outside of WinHex environment. I also would like to make a quick note regarding inode number assignments, those actual indices into the inode table. So if you look at my walkthrough notes, basically this question how node numbers are assigned. Node 0 is not an actual table entry in the inode table. It's a marker used to indicate that this number is not an inode. Number 1 indicates the inode for bed blocks on the disk. There's a hidden file containing the bed blocks so that they will not be used by another file. So if our drive doesn't have any bed blocks, then this file actually does not exist. But if the system does detect bed blocks that cannot be read or written, then this file will be allocated and this first inode will be used to point to that area describing the bed blocks. Inode 2 is the file system root directory and is always assigned this number 2. So you can read more information about it at this URL in Wikipedia. And also you can always Google ext4 special inodes, which will describe the assignment of the actual index numbers. So with these ideas in mind, we can try to jump to inode 0 using position, go to inode, and try entering 0. Okay, so this quickly tells us that this is an invalid input. So 0 is not a good inode number. Okay, so let's try number 1. So number 1 actually does bring us to this area, which is actually right at the beginning of the inode table, because this is block 5. Right, so right now we're looking at block 5, sector 10, and this offset 5120 is exactly what we remembered when we started looking at the beginning of inode table. Therefore, you can see it pretty well that inode 1 is pretty much at the start of the inode table. If we check this file bed blocks and go to position, go to inode, again it brings us right here to the same place, to the same sector on the drive. So obviously this is the inode for the file name bed blocks. This is the system file. It's hidden from the user. And if we try to apply at this offset, if we try applying inode template, you can see here really isn't a lot of information entered by the system except these dates when the file was created. But if for some reason we start detecting bad blocks on the system, their numbers will be populated in a block which normally will refer to our direct and indirect blocks. So these the content of actual blocks will contain the numbers of bad blocks on disk.